Guys, I gotta tell you something, man. And this is one of the most serious topics that I've talked about. And I talk about a lot of deep stuff. This right here just might be the most important message I've ever shared on this channel so far. Because I know it's something most men are carrying silently every single day. And even in the comments on a lot of my videos, guys are unloading their deepest, darkest struggles and really just laying out all their problems and their life story. And it's given me so much insight into what's really going on. I knew that men are struggling more than ever today. But it wasn't until I started this YouTube channel a few months ago that I realized men are giving up on life. Men are checking out. And not just from relationships with women, not just from their job that they hate, from their 9 to 5 grind, but giving up on life itself. And the worst part is nobody even notices. We as men tend to keep so much inside, built up deep and buried deep within ourselves. Keep so much inside until it's too late. You look around and you ask yourself, why am I even doing this? Why am I even trying? Who's it all for anyway? What's the point? It's not weakness. It's not laziness. In some cases it is, sure. But it's a slow disconnection that creeps in when your efforts no longer feel like they even mean anything. But before we dive in today, boys, go ahead and hit subscribe. We're pushing hard for that 1,000 subs mark. And I'm dropping video every single day just because I want to help you guys out, all right? We're going all the way with this. And this is just the beginning. I remember this season of my life where everything just collapsed completely. I had just got out of the Marine Corps. I was in the Marines for 4 years in infantry. No real direction. Trying to reintegrate back into a society that didn't even really understand me. And honestly, I didn't understand it either. I'd wake up, hit the gym, stare at my screen, play video games all the time, binge watch TV, doom scroll, and I would think, is this it? Really? And at the time, it seemed like on paper, through the years, I was doing fine. But inside, I felt so empty and lost. I had really no connection, no clarity, no compass. Dating was a mess, and it was for years. I'd attract women who didn't respect me, or I'd fall for the ones who'd pull away the moment that I showed interest. And it's so confusing because you can think that you're doing everything right with these women, but then they pull away or they ghost or something, right? Work, after a period of time, work felt robotic and unfulfilling. Everyone chasing promotions like dogs for scraps, slaving away at your job, and you're hardly even getting noticed or getting a pay increase. And the job market is tough enough as it is. Playing office politics. But deep down inside, so many guys' souls are rotting behind smiles and Teams messages, Slack messages, whatever you want to call it. I felt like for so long that I was screaming in a world that only responded to filters, followers, fake alpha posturing around. But the turning point for me, it wasn't some motivational bullshit. The turning point for me was silence and solitude. And really just me sitting in a car one night. Several years back, I did overnight security when I was in college. Worked from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I had a lot of time on YouTube and my thoughts, driving around. And this thought hit me. If I don't choose to rebuild on my terms and go in the direction that truly calls to my soul, I'm going to waste the one life I've been given. You only have one life. And we can't always control our circumstances, what we're blessed with, what we're not blessed with. All we can control is all we can control. And that means figuring out our life, sorting through it without all the noise, and getting some clarity. And from this moment of, self-reflection and solitude and really trying to think about who I am and where I'm going in life, what I don't want in my life, from that moment, and it's a process, but that moment I started to shift. Again, it's not like an overnight thing. But I stopped chasing validation, stopped chasing women, stopped trying so hard. And I started chasing alignment in my life. And that's what I want to give you today. There's shattered expectations. There's shattered expectations in life. What do I mean by that? I mean, most of us grew up with this script in our heads. Right? Be a good man. Work hard. Go to college. Get a job. Find a loyal woman, a good woman. Build a life. Chase money, success. Slave away. Be rewarded. But what actually happens? You do all that, right? You do that. You start to check these boxes. And you still get ghosted when you're doing everything that you possibly can, at least everything that you think that you possibly can with women. You don't get the promotion. You don't get the job. You're struggling in the job market for months and months and months. You grind your face off, literally, in your soul, and watch someone less qualified get the promotion because they played the game better. And you see these guys get with these women, and you're like, how did he bag that? And it makes no sense. I've talked to guys who are high value guys, and they still struggle with women. They still feel like they're never going to have someone. They still feel depressed. They still feel lost. It doesn't have to do with your height. It doesn't have to, because I've talked to guys who are taller. I've talked to guys who are better looking. It's just, it makes no damn sense. You're slaving away at your job, not getting anywhere, feeling like a hamster on a wheel, going through life on autopilot. You stay loyal with a woman, and she leaves you for someone with more money, more further in their business. Or she just leaves you for another guy, and maybe you have the other stuff, like maybe you have more money, maybe you're furthering your career, maybe whatever the case is, I don't know. But she leaves you anyway. Or maybe she divorces you and takes more than half of your stuff. I've seen so many guys have their entire lives wrecked by women, and that's a whole other discussion. But we try so hard as men, like most guys do. Okay, most guys do. I think they try hard. Okay, but you sit there thinking, was it all just a bunch of BS? Like, what's the deal? What is life even about? And then the pain It hits different when it's not just a breakup or a layoff, but the collapse of everything you believe would make life work. And that's delusionment, though. That's delusion. Delusionment is even a word. But it's kind of a delusion, right? And it's dangerous. Because that thought process, it makes you stop dreaming, really, in life. We keep ourselves stuck in this negative mindset or this doomer mindset. It makes you stop dreaming. It makes you stop trying. Because the relationships didn't work, or because you haven't been with a woman in years, or because you feel hopeless. But when you have this mindset of throwing in a towel, what's the point? You stop believing. And this is where most men start quietly giving up. Not necessarily with a bang, not always, but it's a slow fade into the background. It's a corrupt game that we live in, fellas. Let's be real. The modern world that we live in, it doesn't reward honor all the time. Okay? It rewards optics, performance, status. And in dating, it's really not about depth or character anymore. I mean, it's rigged. It is, and you should stay true to yourself to an extent. But what it's really about is, in dating, it's like, who can make her feel the most FOMO? Right? In work, it's not always about skill. It's about who can kiss ass the best while saying all the right buzzwords that people want to hear. All right? Now, you should still work hard. Yes, you should. But I'm trying to explain these things so you can think more expansively, so you can have a little bit more context to work with, okay? I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard. I'm not saying you shouldn't be a man of virtue and honor and have principles that you live by. You should still. And if you're the type of man who leads with integrity, who wants to build something real, the game feels rigged, and that's what I'm saying. And that's where so many guys get this resentment that builds up like a plaque, and it starts to creep in, and then after time it builds up like a plaque. You're not failing because you're incapable most of the times. You're frustrated because the world feels like a highlight reel of shortcuts. It feels like a highlight reel of manipulations and shallow wins. But here is the hard truth, fellas. You can't win a game by hating the game. You either opt out completely, just completely throw in the towel, become bitter. You play the game and lose yourself, or you build your own game. And that's what I want you to see is a third option here. We live in a world of superficiality. That's even a word. We're living in a culture that worships surface over substance. Now, I made this channel not to be famous, not to blow up, not to even make money. I just did this because I wanted to help and give back. This is the Ascended Man, where I help you forge armor for life. Just like when I was in the Marine Corps, we wore armor. We wore body armor and gear. Just like in life, you have to forge your own armor. Men are drowning today, bro. Scroll culture, doom scrolling, Instagram, TikTok, it has absolutely destroyed our attention spans. And that's why I wanted to go on YouTube, because guys that come on here are serious about their personal growth and learning. And let's not forget about porn and how it's completely wrecked our ability to bond with people. Now, I have a whole video on how to quit porn. I've got at least one or two. Check them out if you haven't already. But TikTok has convinced us that 15-second dopamine hits are the new purpose. And this affects everything. And don't get me started on how on our Discover feed, I don't even look at porn, and my Discover feed is filled with half-naked women. It's like the algorithm, Meta, actually just knows that you're a young man, literally. Well, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, they know. They have your information, and they target you. But anyway, I digress. But we're on Instagram, and especially Instagram, man, TikTok and everything else. We compare our behind the scenes, like what's going on in our life, right, that we see, to someone else's filtered vacation and a highlight reel of their life, and it makes us feel like shit about ourselves. We think we're failing because our growth doesn't look like their fake success. Do you know what I mean? It's BS, bro. But the truth is, most people are empty, and everyone is struggling with something, even if on the outside they look like they have it all together. Because what you're seeing is curated. Everyone is dealing with some shit, man. I can promise you that. And what you're feeling is real, and other people feel that too. Some people are just better about hiding it and what's really going on. And this is why so many men feel like they're losing in life, is this Instagram and TikTok and social media and all this stuff, man. All these like quick entrepreneurs and millions of dollars, cars, watches, houses, vacations, crazy, their girl, all this stuff. It's just a bunch of BS. But so many guys compare themselves to that, myself included in the past, and it makes us feel like we're losing. Not because you are necessarily, but because you're measuring yourself to these people, these illusions, these fake lives. But that's exactly how you stay stuck. And if you're watching this right now and you feel that this is in your chest, like it's hitting you, like if it feels like I'm speaking directly to you right now, drop a comment. Let me know, seriously. Tell me where you're stuck. What's weighing on you? Where have you been tempted to just give up in your life? I want to know. I read and respond to every single comment, even if it doesn't happen right away. I try to get in and respond to you guys because I really care. Not for the algorithm, but just because I know what silence feels like. I know what the struggle feels like. I know what it feels like hitting rock bottom multiple times because I've done it. And I refuse to let any of you guys go unheard. There is such a hunger for authenticity in 2025. The search for authenticity, especially with AI, it's crazy. But here's the good news. And this may be the most important part of this whole message. There is a shift happening right now. Men are waking up. And they're realizing the system wasn't built for their soul. The system is not looking out for your best interests. Okay? And there's a lot of guys that are starting to reclaim their power. No matter if you see the comments and what people are saying, yes, there's doomers out here. But there is hope, and you need to have hope. Because if you don't, what else do you have? But authenticity is your weapon. It's something we need more of. We need more authentic people. We don't need fake confidence, no rented cars or cheap one-night stands, but real self-respect. And it starts when you stop trying to be what the world wants. It starts when you stop trying to fit into the mold of what society wants you to be. and become who you are meant to be. You attract different women when you're authentic. You build a different career. You start walking different. You start attracting different into your life. And it's a process, right? That's what we're talking about. But suddenly, after a certain point, life stops being a chase and it becomes a calling. Now, let's talk about work. You don't have to work a soul-sucking career for 40 years. You don't have to sell your integrity to make money. There are men right now building businesses, coaching, trading, flipping cars, editing YouTube videos, like creating YouTube channels, whatever. I mean, there's tons of things, and it couldn't be easier these days with AI to come up with a game plan and truly work for yourself. Doing something that is profitable, where you can help people. And doing things that align with who you are. Everyone has their own interests. And there's no right way to go about it. My advice would be find someone, if you can, or a couple people, or a few people who are doing what you would love to do. And just look at their blueprint. How did they do it? Study what they did. You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel and become like an Elon Musk, okay? Entrepreneurship isn't just about money. It's about freedom. That's what it's really about. And even if you stay in corporate for a little bit, do it on your terms. I've been in corporate sales for a few years. I'll stay in it as long as I can. I'm not really putting a timeline on it. But it's okay. And if you want to just stay in corporate and you're happy in it, then that's fine, because there's always got to be people doing that. But if you know that you're meant for more, if you want to do something else, you got to figure it out. And there's a ton of options for you. And it couldn't be easier in 2025 with technology to figure it out and come up with a game plan and have low overhead. Do life on your own terms. Become a killer. Bring your values with you. Don't compromise who you are as a man, but build leverage. You need leverage in life. But the key is this right here. You can't miss this. Never let a paycheck silence your purpose. It's not all about money. It's not. But you do need it. And there's a lot of ways you can get it. By serving, by giving a ton of value. But it has to be about other people, right? Because that's how the universe works. It has to be others centered. I remember for so long, I was just chasing money when I was a fitness model, doing lots of online coaching. I still do coaching, but this was all just about me. Me, my followers, money. And man, it was like a hamster on a wheel. It was so unfulfilling. It was never enough. I was never happy or satisfied enough. But it was because it was always really about me. I mean, I would say that it was kind of helping other people, but it wasn't until I lost everything. It was about a year and a half ago. A little over a year and a half ago, bro. Technically, it was September of 2023. And I had some money saved up. I burned through all my savings. Like $4,000. I had to leave my apartment. I had amazing physique, but my job that I was doing wasn't really working out. I knew it was a sinking ship. Anyway, I had to put all my stuff in storage and go live with my parents for 9 months. I was depressed. I let my body go. I was hooked on porn. I was hooked on the vape. I was lost. Couldn't get a job for about 4 months. And it wasn't until March, about a year ago, that I got a new job, and then God told me to start YouTube. I was a mess. I hit rock bottom. I was having some really dark thoughts. But I realized that I needed to go reconnect with myself, recenter on my purpose and what I actually wanted to do. And that's when I realized I wanted to help and serve men and start YouTube. Whether this channel grows or not, it's actually grown a good bit over the past few months, and I'm very blessed and grateful that it has started to grow, but you got to kind of look at your life, right? And think about what skill sets do you have, or what knowledge do you have? What life experience have you had? And how can I take all that and figure out how to tie that into my purpose and a mission and give back? And it could be really anything. But I believe everyone has a story to share. You have a story to share. I have a story. And there's no market that's really saturated because no one is you and no one has your story. The niche is you because you are not saturated. But never let a paycheck silence your purpose, man. Imagine how this could be, though. You wake up a year from today, paint this picture. You're no longer bitter. You're no longer lost. You're no longer questioning your worth because you chose to fight back instead of giving up on life. You built your body. You healed your mind. You removed toxic influences from your life. You reconnected or connected to your purpose. You walked away from shallow validation and you built a deep life, a life of meaning. And now, my man, now you're leading. Now you're attracting. Now you're living. And it all started with one decision. You stopped giving up. And you started giving everything. All right, man. That's all I got for you guys today. If this video hit something in you deep, smash the like button, comment down below. Let me know what you're going through. And yeah, subscribe if you're not already. I'll catch you guys later.